All right, today we're cracking open the playbook on how to learn way faster. And we're not talking about your average study guides. We are diving into some pretty unconventional, almost classified methods, the kind used by the world's top intelligence agencies.
So what if I told you there's a way to learn 10 times faster without drowning in a sea of textbooks? Seriously, the CIA uses these exact methods to train its agents, to learn entire languages in weeks or memorize huge files in just minutes. And look, this isn't some sci-fi movie stuff. These techniques are real, they're accessible, and you definitely don't need a top-secret budget to use them.
Okay, let's treat this as your official mission briefing. It's time to ditch all those boring old-school study routines that just don't work. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to become a master of rapid learning. I mean, we all know the drill, right? You're staring at a book for hours, you've got mountains of flashcards, and you're desperately trying to find a place with absolute silence just so you can focus. It's exhausting, and let's be honest, half the time it feels like you're just spinning your wheels. Sound familiar? Yeah, I thought so.
Well, the solution isn't about studying harder, it's about studying smarter. We're not just studying anymore, we're actually hacking our brain's natural systems. These aren't just little tips and tricks. Think of them as strategic intelligence operations for your mind. So let's take a look at the intel. So our first technique is going to sound like something straight out of a movie, learning while you sleep. And yes, you heard me right. Your brain can actually pull a secret night shift, organizing and cementing information while you're completely knocked out. This whole idea is based on something called hypno-learning. It was reportedly used by Soviet spies to pick up new languages at record speed. The secret sauce here is syncing your brain to theta waves. Now this is that weird, dreamy state you're in, right between being awake and falling asleep. It's when your mind is super suggestible and the wall to your subconscious is at its lowest. In that state, your brain is basically a sponge, just ready to soak up information without any effort.
So how can you actually do this? It's surprisingly simple. First, as you're getting into bed, just pull up YouTube and play some 4 Hz theta wave frequencies. That specific frequency helps nudge your brain into that perfect receptive state. Second, just take 60 seconds to quickly review whatever it is you're trying to learn. Key formulas, new words, important dates. Then, that's it. Just go to sleep and let your brain handle the rest.
Oh, and here's a little piece of bonus intel for when you're awake. While you're studying, create a focus trigger. It can be anything simple, like snapping your fingers or tapping your pen twice. Just do it consistently when you're in that deep focus state. Then later, when you feel your mind wandering, just do that same action, and bam, it's like a cheat code that instantly tells your brain, hey, it's time to get back in the zone.
All right, this next piece of intel is going to sound a little crazy. It's time to embrace the chaos. We're about to find out why that super quiet library might actually be your worst enemy.
See, we're all taught to find that perfect library mode, right? Total silence, zero distractions. But the problem is that creates this really fragile focus that just shatters the second someone coughs. Intelligence agents, they don't train in quiet rooms. They're trained for chaos, sirens, people shouting, constant interruptions. The goal isn't to run away from distractions, it's to train your brain to tune them out. That's how you build a truly unbreakable focus.
So here's your new mission. Next time you study, start playing some ambient coffee shop or city street sounds in the background. If you really want to level up, set a random alarm to go off every 7 minutes or so. The trick is to start small, and then, every few days, just crank up the chaos a little bit more. Pretty soon, you'll be so locked in, the world could be ending outside and you wouldn't even flinch.
All right, next up, let's talk about hacking your senses. This technique is all about turning the world around you into a giant, interactive cheat sheet.
Just think about it for a second. Has a specific smell, like freshly baked cookies, ever just instantly thrown you back to a memory from when you were a kid? That's your brain hardwiring memories to your senses. Spies take that completely natural process and they weaponize it, turning it into a memory superpower.
And here's your toolkit to do the exact same thing. Try chewing a very distinct flavor of gum, let's say cinnamon, but only when you're studying one specific subject. Then, when you're taking a test on that subject, pop in a piece of that same cinnamon gum. You can do this with anything. Assign different scents, songs, or even clothes to different topics. Your favorite red t-shirt? That could be your official English vocabulary shirt.
Now this next technique builds on that same core idea. Have you ever walked into a room and just completely forgotten why you went in there in the first place? It's because our brains naturally use physical locations as little filing cabinets for information. The memory palace is just a way of doing that on purpose. Spies will mentally place pieces of information in specific spots to pull them up later.
You can turn your own home into a memory hideout. For example, from now on, your bathroom mirror is where you store your 3 most important tasks for the day. The refrigerator door, that's where you keep that key formula you need to memorize. And the front door is where you stick that one phrase you absolutely cannot forget. Every time you walk past these spots, your brain just automatically pulls up the information. It's literally like turning your entire house into a giant flashcard.
Okay, so we've covered some really powerful individual techniques. Now it's time to put them all together into a full 4-week mission. This is the master plan to flick the switch and activate turbo mode on your brain.
Now, the final piece of this puzzle is a concept called active interleaving. Here's the simple truth. Your brain gets bored. Its efficiency just plummets the longer you focus on one thing. The solution? Instead of these long marathon study sessions on one topic, you work on totally different subjects in short, intense bursts. This forces your brain to work harder to switch gears, and in the process, it builds way stronger and more flexible connections. It's basically cross-training for your brain.
So here's the drill. You're going to study topic A for exactly 10 minutes. The second the timer dings, you immediately switch to a completely different subject, topic B for another 10 minutes, then topic C for 10, and then you just repeat the cycle. The key here is that the topics have to be really different, like jump from calculus to Spanish vocabulary to learning guitar chords. That constant switching forces your brain to build these incredibly powerful links between different parts of your mind.
Okay, you have all the pieces. Now it's time to assemble your mission timeline. The whole plan here is to stack these techniques. You'll add a new layer to your training each week. That way you're not getting overwhelmed, and you can build these into real, solid habits.
Here it is, your 4-week operator plan. Week 1, you're going to master the sleep learning with theta waves. Week 2, you'll start adding in the chaos training to forge that unbreakable focus. Week 3 is all about integrating your sensory triggers and building out your memory palace. And finally, in Week 4, you'll bring it all home with the 10-minute active interleaving drills. By the end of this month, your brain is going to be operating in a whole new gear.
But just a quick word of caution here. If your focus and your learning abilities suddenly skyrocket, you might get some weird looks. People might think you're using some kind of classified methods. So the only real question left is, are you ready for the mission?